This is Kimberly Quinn, host of the Mindcraft podcast, and I can't tell you how much fun I have had doing this podcast. I started when the world closed over the pandemic in an attempt to spread some positivity out there and give people some strategies to enhance their own well being and reduce anxiety and all of that. Now, 2 years later, we're still going strong and now listened to by 52 countries across the world. And I've even helped some of my students get going with their own podcasts. It's super easy to do. And I'll tell you, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. I'll just explain for you. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It is a ball. Start today. Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another exciting discussion on all things Minecraft, which means all things well-being and becoming the boss of our brain. This is Kimberly Quinn, and I'm thrilled to be here on this wonderfully chilly yet beautiful wintry morning to have this conversation with you. And what I'd like to chat about today is just kind of think of that game hot potato when you're a kid. You know, hot potato, and you throw it around, and you kind of had to catch it. That's the game, right? Catch the hot potato. And I kind of want to talk about how we don't have to catch the hot potato. We're wired to think we have to catch the hot potato out in this big hot potato game in the world, but we really don't. And today I'm inspired by Richard Carlson, who writes the series on Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And he talks about like kind of like a game of catch, or somebody throws a ball, which is a similar idea. And we instinctively think we have to catch it, metaphorically speaking. If somebody says, oh, so and so's driving me crazy, what should I do? We automatically, jump in with both feet and get all involved in the drama rather than saying, I don't really know what to say. Nothing's coming up for me. We just feel like we've got to just jump right into the drama. Now, and just to clarify, I'm not talking about something authentic. You've got your partner, your very best friend, your kids have, who need, are asking you, mom, dad, or dad and dad, or can you please listen to me? Something's going on at school. Da, da, da. We're not talking about that. Or a best friend, who was just, broken up with or something like that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the everyday blah, 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 often at work even, because it's not that level of middle of the night phone call. And it's just so-and-so's driving me crazy, these work politics. And then went 20 minutes of your valuable, valuable life minutes just circling the drain, never to be seen again. So, just remembering the basic, foundation of Minecraft, which is becoming the boss of your brain, is about getting it that thoughts come first and feelings come second, and then, action or behavior third. And so when we're walking around with frustrated feelings, it's because we've allowed frustrated thoughts to enter our head. I mean, really there is no stress in the world, only people walking around with stressful thoughts. I mean, that's the truth. The actual stress part doesn't exist other than our minds. When we think about that, it really kind of, hopefully, the aha goes on with, we've got the power. We've got the power. So here's the thing. As far as this day-to-day drama, again, not talking about the genuine, best friend who needs you at 3 o'clock in the morning kind of thing, but just the, a lot of times in the workplace and the politics, there's politics everywhere. And it's so easy, and because often the person who's doing that is on autopilot also. So it's kinda like an autopilot ball thrown or hot potato thrown, and then when we catch it on autopilot, it doesn't go anywhere good because it's just emotional venom, sucking us down this rabbit hole that's never, gonna return again. And the thing is, we've got enough, life gives us enough real stuff to deal with. So we really just don't need to catch the ball thrown by somebody else or the hot potato. And it's interesting because, cliche wise, we'll hear, oh boy, you really dropped the ball, or oh boy, I really dropped the ball. And that has such a negative connotation to it. That's like you had a responsibility, you were given a task on a team project, or you were supposed to be at the teenager's game. You didn't give yourself enough time, and you ended up half an hour late because there was a fender bender, and you got stuck behind that. And well, I really dropped the ball and I missed the first half hour of their play or whatever. And that's meant to be just this negative self-talk of I failed somebody somehow, versus what we're talking about, which is dropping the ball in a good way. You don't need to catch the ball at the water cooler at work. Like, rah, 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 I can't believe she's in that position of power, and she shouldn't be in that promotion. Should have been given to somebody else. And I'm really having issues with it. I'm starting to look around because it's an employee's market now, and I don't need to put up with this. And rah, 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 rah. Meanwhile, all of that ball tossing is nothing more than noise pollution in the air. And that negativity. What I actually have said to people at times, that um is, excuse me, I just that's it's all like secondhand smoke. Is that if that person smoking that cigarette is choosing to fill up their own lungs with toxins, well, by all means, go right ahead. But I don't want to breathe it. I don't want to breathe it. I don't want to catch the ball. I don't want to catch the hot potato. Of course, I'm smoother than this. Was that, really, none of this concerning in my head, I'm saying silently, none of this concerns me. I've got my own hot potatoes to deal with. And again, staying away from the genuine. We're not talking about ignoring the people we love. We're talking about the noise out there, the noise pollution, the ball throwing, hot potato throwing on autopilot. And there's so much of it. I would say the majority of it is just autopilot because people want to unload the hot potato. So what easier way than whoever's in front of them at the water cooler or in line at the cafeteria or whatever. Here you go. Well, that's a big no thank you. Gonna drop it. And the other big benefit to dropping the ball or a hot potato is that it's a big, well, it's a saver of life minutes for one. That's the biggie because we're only given a certain amount on this lifetime on this planet, and just like a bank account has limits, so do our life minutes. So the biggest advantage is benefit or whatever is that you are saving valuable life minutes. And the other one, sort of attached to the first one, is when we drop the ball, drop the hot potato with all this external drama, is that it's a resentment preventer because when we get sucked into that hole, again, by the water cooler, cafeteria, or outside, or whatever, even in your own living room, what it does is it can cause us to become resentful because when we're in autopilot, we're just going like, in zombie mode. But then when we come click, kind of wake up and, come back into, our authentic lives as we know it, we're like, oh my God, why did I just listen to that 5-minute ramble, or worse, that 20-minute ramble about all the he said, she said stuff, and I could have stepped out of the current. All the coulda, woulda, shoulda is just assigning blame, which doesn't go anywhere good either. It's also attached to shame, which is definitely not good. And it's just this kind of, I don't want to say snowball because I am a big fan of snow and snowballs, but like monster mud ball just rolling downhill and picking up speed. So when we live deliberately, we're not on autopilot. We are much better apt to sort of see clearly when somebody else is on autopilot and tossing us a hot potato. It prevents resentment and saves life minutes to drop the hot potato. And so those kind of cueing in that, man, there went 17 of my life minutes I'm never getting back again. And it's interesting because my rooftop friend and I, if any of you have remember from the 7 days, if you saw that, my rooftop friend has become like locally famous, and she and I talk about a lot of this, a lot, I guess. We typically talk on the phone every couple of weeks or so. We're not any kind of schedule, but and if too long goes by, we call each other right up right away, and then it's usually just a really long conversation. But we're talking about all things authentic, and we'll say this if we're sharing a story about so and so and whatever, and a thing at work, and you're like, man, I lost 17 minutes. I set 17 life minutes. I'm never getting back again. I can't believe that I know better than that. I know better than that. They got under my radar kind of thing. And the more we catch ourselves, of course, the better we get at, this noticing and this awareness. So rather than beat ourselves up with the woulda, coulda, shoulda, which doesn't go anywhere good. It's just blame assigning. Is realize like, wow, I just okay, I fell off the wagon there, and there weren't 5 minutes of my valuable life minutes. But I caught myself. It could have been 10 or 20 or 30, right? And each time we do that, we kind of finally tune our awareness, which is a good thing. And it's important to realize that getting back on the horse is a good thing. And it's also very empowering and reduces stress just to have the conversation in our heads when this is happening, that we don't ha- that we can drop the ball. We can drop the ball, which means we can choose not to participate in someone else's drama. And it's not like you have to hit them like a brick wall and say, "I'm sorry, I don't do drama." Actually, I do say that though. I don't do drama. You can be smooth and polite and just, gosh, that sounds really challenging for you. I don't think I have anything to suggest. And then go get yourself a cup of tea and get out of Dodge. I mean, that's the easiest way to do it. You just saved yourself a ton of life minutes right there, and you did it politely and respectfully. Good for you. I mean, I'm a very respectful person. I don't mean to say that. I do sometimes say I don't do drama. And that said, it's usually in a context of humor and with a smile. It's not like knocking somebody over the head with a hammer. I'll just usually do that in jest and then politely excuse myself to go do something else. But the message is clear though. Like, I'm not taking part in this. And especially if it's gossip, emotional poison, it's being spread through the air about somebody else. I definitely have no interest in that. And that just brings everybody down, because what we do to ourselves, we do to other people, and the reverse, right? So that's like a whole nother conversation. But it does apply here. Step out of that gossip current, because that's even worse than the water cooler stuff. It's important to realize too that it doesn't mean we never catch the ball, right? Because I'm not a fan of those polarized words, because they don't exist in life. Always, never, everyone, no one. They just don't exist in life. And the truth and everything is somewhere, usually in the middle, somewhere. But the point is not that we never drop the ball, is that we know that we can choose to. That's so empowering, to just sit there silently in the middle of a horribly boring conversation, or one where somebody's just trying to suck you in on what they should do about getting a new car because they've got too much mileage on this one, and you want to do like beam me up, Scotty, right? The thing is, just knowing that you can beam up and out if you want to is what's super empowering. And another way that we often catch the ball on autopilot without realizing we're trying to catch the ball is when we answer the phone when we are too busy to talk. Just ignore it. And in this house, we still have a landline, so you can see caller ID and everything. So if that's some rando or somebody, just don't answer it. If you're trying to get out the door and you have 5 minutes to get out the door to be on time for work, why are you answering the phone? Just don't. Now with cell phones and everything, somebody can tell if you read the text. So just don't do it, and wait until you actually have time. You get to work, and okay, now I can take off my jacket, shut the door in my office, or sneak around or go in the restroom or whatever, and then I can have time to talk with whoever about whatever. Or maybe it needs to wait till lunch if it's a longer conversation. But sometimes we just very impulsively just answer and that just sets us up for stress, for one, answering the phone when we don't have the time, and then maybe resentment, because like, what was I doing answering the phone? And now this person just took 15 minutes and I'm late to work, and then the day starts out like that. Just don't answer it, or don't look at the text, or don't look at the email. If you don't have time to respond, it just sets you up for the domino effect of having things not go right for you in your day. And here's the thing: remembering you have the power to not answer the phone, not look at the email, or to say no, or not even a hard no. This sounds good. I'll get back to you in a few hours. Okay, stay tuned. That's it. And the idea of not catching the ball is so incredibly, incredibly healthy and empowering, as we sort of, get a hold of our agency back, and it also reduces anxiety. So there you go. This is Kimberly Quinn saying, go ahead and drop that ball, signing off from Northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.